Hello, welcome to a new edition of our show, Money Means Business. And as we always say, business means money, stability, and of course, money and business, and of course, a lot more than what we just were discussing before, something like the COVID-19 that had, well, very bad outcomes on the economies of the world. So stability, business, of course, stability brings a lot of business, of course, and money. Well, we've got with us our guest, Dr. Hani Abou Futuh, who is going to be discussing our economy, what's going on right now, and a lot more. Let me first welcome our guest, Dr. Hani Abou Futuh. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being here with you and you honoring us with your visit.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to mention something very important that took place, an event, the discovery, archaeological discovery, one of the great discoveries. So an Egyptian archaeological mission uncovered a large collection of intact and sealed coffins that are still buried deep in ground, which all have been closed for more than 2,500 years at Saqqara Necropolis. In a press conference held on Saturday in Saqqara Necropolis, Minister of Tourism and Antiquities Khalid Al-Anani opened one of the pharaonic coffins that was discovered in the ancient Saqqara area in front of 60 ambassadors and media representatives. The Minister of Antiquities said an Egyptian mission started re-excavating the site 2 months ago and succeeded to uncover burial shafts 11 meters deep, where there were more than 13 arthropod intact and sealed coffins. More excavations revealed 2 more shafts, 10 and 12 meter deep, filled with a large number of intact and sealed coffins. In addition to that, Al-Anani stated that the coffins will be transferred to the Grand Egyptian Museum. Al-Anani added that the coronavirus pandemic did not stop his colleagues from unearthing more of previous civilizations in Saqqara Necropolis. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Mustafa Waziri, said that the preliminary studies showed the coffins belonging to the 26th dynasty priests, top officials and elites. There are mummies in the majority of coffins. Waziri added that all the unearthed coffins are in a very good conservation condition and still bear their original color. And this is really great news now, like we're having more discoveries, even with the COVID-19 and the world being still and staying at home and not working much and away, scared from the outcomes of the coronavirus and the pandemic. But Egyptians have been working actually, and excavations have been taking place, and we are coming up with great news and discoveries. And the great thing also is that it's going to the GEM. So the GEM will have a great big collection of wonderful pieces and antiquities and things from history actually to be visited, and everyone is eager on visiting the GEM, the Grand Egyptian Museum, soon, inshallah, when things start to open. Before that, before just going deep on our talk, we'll go for a short break, after which we'll be back. Stay tuned to us, don't go away. We're back again to Money Means Business and our guest, Dr. Hani Abou El-Fatouh. Welcome again, sir, with us.
Hello.
Well, there is a lot to talk about, and as you know, like we mentioned, the great excavation and the findings that, you know, like good news are coming one after the other. And our working during the COVID-19, well, the European Reconstruction Bank said that Egypt is likely, most likely the only country that is coming out of this pandemic and the bad situation, let's say, fresh. So how do you explain that? What do you say about that?
Well, as you said, the good news are coming all together, lump sum.
Yes.
Which
is good. It's great.
Yeah, good news. The European Bank, in fact, issued a recent report saying that Egypt is the only economy which escaped the recessions in 2020. But let me first give a background about the EBRD. EBRD is owned by 69 countries and the European Union as well as the European Investment Bank. It operates and it invests in Central and Eastern Europe, in Asia as well as in the MENA region, and it focuses on investing in the emerging markets to boost the sustainable development, the economies of these areas of these economies, and primarily has a particular interest in SMEs. The report indicated that Egypt is escaping the recession which prevailed the entire world, and probably it's the only economy in the EBRD zone that has expected growth rate in 2020 to reach 2.5%. Indeed, the plans before the COVID-19, Egypt would have achieved 5.8% this fiscal year, but sadly, the implications and repercussions of the COVID-19 hit the expectations very badly, and still we are doing well in comparison to other economies. Even in it is surprising that even big economies will not achieve a positive outlook in 2020 and the coming year. Here I would like to just mention that according to the OECD recent report as well on the expected growth rate of some major economies, we see that, for example, Korea will achieve a negative progress by 3.2%, Japan 7.9%, USA 9.1%, and probably the biggest hit would be for India, which would it is expected to achieve shrinking economy by 25.2%. The only biggest economy in the world which expected to achieve a positive result is China, with expectation 11.2%. So if we are talking about Egypt I think is doing well despite all the hardship that surrounds its economy, and we keep our fingers crossed. We achieve next year a more positive results.
So imagine if we were not, we did not have the situation of the COVID-19, what would we have achieved?
Yes, I think we would have achieved this 6.1% that was actually more optimistic outlook for the Egyptian economy in 2021 even.
Definitely. Well, the outlook right now, you know, thinking about, well, the COVID-19, and of course, we don't know how long it's gonna go, because they just talk about a second wave, and they talk about lots of things that we don't know, in like what's going to happen, because there's lockdown again in Europe, and we see that the higher numbers are being, they are just hit by the pandemic. What are the expectations, you know, in Egypt? Of course, you know, besides what we talked about, but then now, you know, the measures in order to pass this bump, let's say that this stumbling block?
Well, there is a great deal of uncertainty around the world, and there are no accurate or more near clear or precise projections for what's going to happen in the near future. But I think if Egypt continues the progress in different areas, it would achieve the expected growth of 2.5%. The measures taken by Egypt were very wise.
Yeah.
Actually, there were claims to lock down the economy and impose curfew like other neighboring countries in the Gulf area. By way of example, Kuwait and Saudi, they imposed a complete shutdown of the business. We wouldn't have actually tolerated the repercussions of complete shutdown of the economy because of the results would have been devastating to the economy. Even I believe that the outcome of the complete shutdown in these areas haven't achieved the desired results. So still the casualties, the number of people who got the COVID-19 hasn't decreased significantly, but the economy was very badly hit. Here the measures were moderate, partial shutdown of some businesses with several precautionary measures in the financial sectors, in transportation, in recreation areas, and hotels. These were moderate, and in fact this helped the economy to achieve 2.5% as expected by several agencies. I think it was very wise step not to shut down the business, and I think we are taking a moderate measure several measures to pursue the business, meanwhile take the precautionary measures to lower the number of infections.
Definitely. Minister of Tourism, Dr. Khaled Al-Aini, also, generally, because, tourism has not, we have all the facilities open right now, of course, except for some, but, open for visitors. But considering the situation in Europe, for example, we're closer than other areas. Of course, we have the sea, we have the monuments, we have cultural tourism, we've got a lot, actually, to do. But, he's always inviting the ambassadors to check the measures, security measures, the safety measures that we have in hotels, and how things are, just to transmit that to the countries. And the German tourism is coming back, but how, and other, of course, Russians again, in other places, and more is opening up. But in light of, again, what is called the second wave, or we don't know what the increasing numbers in Europe of the COVID-19 pandemic, those hit by the COVID-19, how would it be affecting, in your opinion, tourism here, or that is not really an issue right now after, passing through the hard period?
I believe that what has been happening in Europe now would still impact Egypt in one way or another.
Yeah.
We expected tourism from different European countries to resume in Hurghada and Sinai, by the tough measures taken again by the governments in Europe would certainly impact us very badly. There's nothing we can do except maybe encourage the local tourism to give some facilities to the local tourism.
That should be priority, I think, for the time being.
Yes, yes. And I think achieving this would not be a difficult thing. Just the tourism, the owners of the resorts and those who have the decisions, the decision makers, must take a brave course of action, because if we wait too long for tourists from from Europe to come and don't allow the facilities for the local tourism, they would definitely, eventually, they will lose too much.
Definitely, and for not losing, we're activating all that by encouraging local tourism. Actually, this is really good. At least also, if we just focus on also children going as we used to go before, and like Luxor, Aswan during mid-year term vacation, and also like other places, of course. And if we encourage Egyptians. Then I think, and with reasonable prices, that would be also, that will keep the hotels running. At the same time, it will just give the opportunity to others, to Egyptians, to see other places, to visit other places.
Yes, yes, indeed. I think this is the right action that it must be taken. Egyptians have the right to enjoy the wealth of or the treasures of their own country and enjoy the resorts, the antiquities at reasonable prices.
Yeah, yeah. Well, looking at the Egyptian economy right now, what do we need, in your opinion? Now, as there was this stumbling block yet, we were working on exporting lots of oranges, number one, olive, Egyptian olive, olives also, they call it Kalamata, they should be Egyptian Kalamata, olives are being exported and so on and so forth. Good news that is happening, that they're asking more of our own vegetables in Europe and more than that, which is really good. What more should we be doing right now for the economy? A lot more efforts to thrive more in this very difficult period.
Well, I think exporters must take one step further in particularly the exhibitions. The ban on exhibitions have been slightly removed, and maybe to invite their own clients from different parts of the world to exhibitions here in Egypt to see what goods they can export to the markets, the outer markets. Africa, for example, is a green market. Africa, we can do very good business in exporting to Africa because the Egyptian goods in many ways are very attractive in Africa in terms of quality, in terms of prices. Particularly the competition have now decreased as some of the countries are still being closed for exporters. So maybe more activities in terms of inviting or soliciting importers from Africa, from different markets, to see what we have, what we can deliver to them.
Yeah. And since you opened the issue of Africa, it's very important. What other areas can we cooperate with the African countries in order to, we need each other. We are part of Africa, and we're back to Africa again. So, and we were also heading last year, chairing definitely EU. So this is really wonderful. A lot can be done with Africa, since they need our expertise, and we need to have our place back in full force, actually. China was taking our place, Turkey was taking our place when we were absent for 30 years.
Yes, indeed. I've seen in last year and the year before that Egypt has taken more proactive steps towards gaining its status back in Africa, and chairing the African Union. Egypt chaired the African Union last year, and it was a good opportunity to open the door again to cooperate and deal with different African states. Egypt is not only exporting goods, but we export expertise in different areas. We have very solid industrial base in Egypt, and Africa needs our expertise. We can do a lot more in Africa, and I think this is the right way to gain our status again in Africa, to be more exposed to Africa like in the past, before at the time of Nasser and even at the early times of Mubarak, we were having a good say in Africa.
Definitely. Also, one thing is, it like if we talk about tourism, for instance, Africa is a paradise. Well, people when they just want to go somewhere, they just had to. They would just had the idea to head to Europe, to the States, but at the beginning they were not really thinking about Africa. Africa has beautiful, beautiful places, beautiful beaches, the safaris. It's really it has wonderful. The different countries have wonderful places to visit. Is there a possibility, for example, to have African tourists, and of course, Egyptians to visit well, African countries, different African countries where that enjoy, of course, peace and security, and of course, wonderful touristic areas?
Why not? I think this is an area that needs to be explored.
Definitely, definitely. She's really wonderful. Well, with the different projects that have been taking place in Egypt in order to catch the development train and go ahead very fast. How do you view all the achievements that have been taking place and achieved so far?
Let me tell you something. With the expectations of the EBRD that the growth rate would be 2.5%, that was mainly driven by the mega projects and the huge investments in the telecommunications sector. So the mega projects, the infrastructure projects have contributed significantly to the growth of the economy and expected for the coming years as well.
Definitely. Well, we would like to look back or just dwell on the bad ideas or some of the bad people who try to propagate bad rumors and erroneous rumors in order to give the wrong ideas or just spread the bad information.
Negative morale.
Definitely, and affect the morale, thinking like they could do that. Well, in the light of all the work that has been and is being done, what do you say about these people or to these people, in this period that is very important, that we have to just have high morale, we have to work very hard in order to achieve the development that we should achieve, because everybody is just going ahead very fast, except when this COVID-19 pandemic came, so it affected everybody. But then we don't need to just behind, we need to go in front, ahead always.
Well, let me tell you something. The negative media and the TV channels operated in Turkey and elsewhere and funded by the devil money.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they have achieved much, because every day it transpires that what they are promoting is fake.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. What happened yesterday?
Yes.
In Nasser City, around the gathering to celebrate the 6th of October anniversary, its 47th anniversary. It's a very positive sign that what other fake news or promoters of fake news have not achieved their goals. It was a very evident move yesterday to say in a loud voice that Egyptians are behind their political leadership, and they are supporting the political leadership to achieve the goals for the prosperity of the Egyptian people. So the evil morale, the fake news haven't achieved much so far.
Yes. Well, it's really interesting. We used to always say we need the morale, we need the same spirit of the October War.
Yeah.
But then we need it for so long. After that, it just kind of came down. But then suddenly, it's again with people, they're just they know when things like that, they start meeting those rumors, or they just feel when like there is a evil spirits saying like coming up with evil doings like that. But then you find that the Egyptians are just going against us right away. They're just rising up and meeting that, whether they are celebrating like the October War, which is on the 6th of October, but then this is the first Friday yesterday that came, they could
They
go down.
celebrated ahead.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Few days ahead, yeah.
Definitely, which is really great and interesting. What do we need again now? Like I know that still hard times, but we're working very hard, and the political leadership and the government is working very hard on the different projects. Also, projects like trying to raise the standards of the different categories, and the projects of Haya Karima or dignified life, just to live in not shabby areas anymore, but those areas have become let's say conglomerates or like of good schools, sporting areas, good apartments, places they can just sell and buy, and all the stuff that it's a full area. Anything they need is there. What also do we need to do? And they just went also to Upper Egypt, the areas that are badly hit by poverty, and they're just now working on that.
Let me tell you something. We need to learn from the pandemic, lessons from the pandemic. Okay.
Have we learned anything?
I think we learned,
Yeah.
but more specifically in education.
Definitely.
Yeah, we learned one good lesson that good education is not necessarily have to be face-to-face or physical education. I mean, necessitating physical attendance. The education particularly benefited from the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, using the digital platforms to educate, to communicate with students, and that worked very effectively in high schools, in universities, and this is a good lesson. We learned also one good lesson, that we are not far behind in terms of the implementing the precautionary measures that the Ministry of Health has rolled out. We are probably far better than other nations, that they are advanced, yet the number of casualties, the number of infected people have gone far from expectations, because they have not, or even the governments, they have not acted swiftly and prudently to contain the COVID-19 in their own countries.
Definitely. Well, we go for a short break. After, she'll be back again. Stay tuned to us. Don't go away. We're coming back in a moment.
معدلات الفقر
توصف العشوائيات هي تعيشها أكثر من 40,000 أسرة.
يعايرونا بفقرنا بس أنا مش هسكت. تعيش هنا، مش هنسيب أطفالنا يطلعوا كده. هم لازم يقعدوا في أماكن تليق بمصر وبيهم. هي ناس بطلت تحلم ولا ايه؟
We're back again to Money Means Business with our guest, Dr. Hani Abou Fatouh. And well, I wanted to mention this, the educational system that before people were doubtful of the digital platform, and then suddenly when hit, as you said, by the COVID-19, that was very important, and distance learning and all that, that I think now will be part of learning.
It is integral part of learning,
Definitely.
not only in Egypt, but around the world. My friends in Europe and their kids, they stay at home and they entirely rely on the digital platforms in education in all levels, in universities and in prep schools and high schools. So it is the buzzword now.
Yes.
I mean, for education that everyone in the world is following.
Well, before going to the indicators, economic indicators, like talking about the digital platform, how does that, if I'm staying, my kids are staying all the time, at home and learning like that, well, I'm not talking about COVID-19 only or situations like that. Now it's an integral part of education, but then socially speaking, how can they just grow up socially speaking? Well, school also forms the social part, dealing with people and a lot of things, and how to deal with life and people. So how does it affect them, in your opinion, socially?
You get a point that social distancing might destroy several aspects of the interaction among people.
Yes.
And that's why in the early stage education, it is suggested that we send the kids 2 days a week to school in order to learn many things that cannot be transformed through the digital channels.
Yeah.
So still the human factor, the personal touch is needed in the education. Probably for adults is not much, except for, some disciplines or some fields of education like medicine, like architecture. Yes, the people need to meet each other in order to learn some peculiar things that cannot be explained better through the digital platforms.
Social interaction.
Yeah, but making the right combination or the right balance, that's what is needed actually.
Definitely, definitely. Well, going to the economic indicators right now in Egypt, what's going on?
I think Egypt has achieved very good results after implementing the economic reform program, which ended last year. Unfortunately, some of these results were not felt by the average person, average citizen, but the rating agencies, the international funds, the international financial organizations, all these taking into considerations the statistics and the indicators that reflect the progress of the economy. I would like here to just mention few indicators that outline the progress of the Egyptian economy. Let me first talk about the foreign reserves. The foreign reserves held by the Central Bank of Egypt. Before COVID-19, it was at the level of $45.2 billion.
Yes.
And just if you put this number and compare it to the fixed reserve in year 2013, it was $16 billion, which was not sufficient to cover the imports of the country for 2 months or 3 months. And back to this figures, which decreased from $45 billion to now $38.36 billion is sufficient enough to cover the imports of Egypt for more than 6 months. Also, I'd like to show another figure, which is the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate, unfortunately, it was expected to be a bit higher after COVID-19. Before COVID-19, in year 2019, the unemployment rate reached 7.9%. Now it stands at 9.2% in the second quarter of the fiscal year 1920. It was expected, actually. Nowhere in the world, no country has escaped from the rising unemployment rate.
Yeah.
For the fiscal year 1920, the budget indicates decrease in the total deficit to 7.8% of GDP, compared to 8.2% in the previous year. And this has always been a chronicle criticism to the Egyptian economy, that the deficit of the budget is very huge now. It is decreasing to near to the forecasted level. Also, the initial surplus of the budget achieved initial surplus of 1.8% of GDP compared to a target of 2%, according to the early indicators of the budget. Again, this is for the second year. It was expected to be 2%, but now, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, now thank goodness it stands at 1.8%.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are just few indicators which show that despite all difficulties, the Egyptian economy is still performing well.
Which is really great. Well, we have less than 3 minutes, so can we just talk about the Moody's reports?
Well, Moody's is an international rating agency which rates the economies or the ability of the debtors to repay long-term debts. Moody's frequently issue reports on different countries, including Egypt. The recent report of Moody's was published in September. It outlines that Egypt's economy, despite the problems and the repercussions of COVID-19, is performing well. Egypt's strong, the report says that Egypt's strong and diversified economy and low level of foreign currency dominated debts has led the country to survive the pandemic, the repercussions of the pandemic. The report also provided a positive outlook to the Egyptian economy, and I think this is a very good sign. And without these ratings, Egypt wouldn't be able to issue bonds in the debt markets. Definitely. And Egypt last week managed to promote 750 million US dollars denominated green bonds in the debt market, and these were well covered.
Yes. Well, We have less than 1 minute, so Dr. Hania Abou Futuh, thank you very much for being with us. It was a pleasure having you.
Pleasure.
Well, as we always end, I have to end thanking our viewers, thanking our guests, and thanking all our cast. And until we meet again next week, let's say God bless Egypt, God bless Egyptians, God bless our president, God bless our army, our white army, and our police. And as we always quote from the Holy Quran, ادخلوها بسلام إن شاء الله آمنين, enter Egypt God willing, safe, and from the Holy Bible مبارك شعبي مصر, blessed be Egypt, my people. I'm Nermin Azim, giving you all the best wishes, and God bless Egypt. See you again next week. Thank you.